Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Wanda. If this is your first time, we're delighted that you have chosen to join us today. With modern technology, we are extremely grateful for this opportunity to touch so many lives, especially through Zoom and Facebook, and to share the wonderful happenings at CSL Charlotte. So please feel free to visit our website, charlottecsl.org, put in a prayer request, and subscribe. We add our recordings every week to our website. The Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte is a new thought community living in ancient wisdom philosophy based on the science of mind. This science of mind philosophy was developed in the early 20th century by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Dr. Holmes was a man on a mission. He studied truths from all of the world's religious traditions and spiritual paths. He developed a fresh new way for each of us to look at ourselves and how we fit in the world. At CSL Charlotte, every philosophy is honored, along with every race, sexual orientation, and physical distinctions. This is truly a diverse community. There are so many paths to the divine. We can call it God, peace, love, spirit, whatever you call it. That is your power that resonates within you. You do not have to leave your philosophy or nature of knowledge. You can join us anytime. We recognize and refer to the many holy scriptures, such as the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, just to mention a few. And our vision statement is to continue a spiritual community creating and preparing a succession of future leaders who can fully integrate, teach, and expose the science of mind principles, the messages and practices that strengthen the mind, body, and spirit of each individual. One of our aims is to create a high collective consciousness for everyone in this community, and that goes out all over the universe. One of our aims is to create classes and tools to do just that. So come and join us as we meet each Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So today we're going to have our Reverend Rosedale be talking to us about vulnerability, because we know that vulnerability sounds like truth and is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It is a source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. If we want greater clarity in our purpose or deeper and more meaningful spiritual lives, then vulnerability is the path. So right here, right now, our illustrious spiritual leader, Reverend Rosedale, is going to lead us down the path as to why vulnerability is so important.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Wanda, and welcome everybody everywhere. I think that I need to remind us all, guess what today is? Today is Palm Sunday. And next week is Easter. Just whenever time it's Palm Sunday, the year is going. We're in the house of Aries, but come to the consciousness meeting and understand that too. Wow. So we're in April. So in celebrating our integration for the mind, the body, and spirit, we at CSL Charlotte, we open our Sunday celebration services with an affirmative prayer. So first up on the back or home plate would be my partner and my spiritual practicer, Reverend Karen Mondragon. And she knows, Reverend Karen knows when she has work to do and she does it. I like that she measures her results, and if she doesn't like them, she still faces with it and does it. So when she needs to get up her game, she knows she got to get her mind in the game, and she practices. So the lazy bug leaves her a lot when she tries to get it. I know when she gets it, but oh boy, she's good when she gets out of it. So anyway, we're in for a treat to hear, because when she prays herself out of it, she's praying for her good. So right now she's praying for this community right in this moment. So let her do her thing. Reverend Karen, please do it.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Rosedale. My goodness. The lazies leave me, huh? Okay.
Leave you.
The lazies leave me. My hair is leaving me too. So Okay, as we start this beautiful service today, learning and hearing the messages from Reverend Rosedale about vulnerability and all that goes with that, our authenticity, and just who we are as the children and creations of God, I absolutely go into this prayer knowing that that creative energy, that beauty, that source of and for all life that I call God, known by many, many names, none of which can adequately describe it at all. It is the mystery, it is the beauty of the universe, of what made us and what made all life. And knowing that and feeling that presence within me, deep within every fiber of my being, and knowing that presence is within each and every person here on Zoom, each and every person on Facebook, each and every person on YouTube, each and every person in this world, and not just people, life in all forms, on all levels. God is within life everywhere. It is what unites us, what binds us together as one. We are one heart, one mind, one spirit, all of us together upon this planet and beyond this planet. And knowing this, and such gratitude for being part of CSL Charlotte, and such gratitude for Reverend Rosedale and all the people on her team and all the people that I have met through belonging to this beautiful center on the East Coast. I absolutely know that it is divine intervention, divine guidance that got me here. And I am so grateful. And in this attitude of gratitude, I release this prayer into the universal law. So please join me in saying, for this beautiful day, this beautiful service, and so it is.
So it is. So that was beautiful prayer. Thank you so much, Reverend Karen. So next on our platform, we're going to have our reader, and I call her the living library, Karen Aiken, aka Karen A from Sheepshead Bay. But you know, she's really not from New York, but she's from there today. I love it. So Karen A, she's really an awesome person to think of when I need a reading or whatever it needs, because she's got the literature at her fingertips and she really likes watching doing it. But I think what she's doing is she's actually growing her own spirituality by looking at these things, because you know, all this contemplative reading that people do, you know, it's something going in. So I love it. And I love to see that she loves what she does, because she picks those readings when she just hear exactly what is going on. So her readings generally and always match the talk that we generally have, and I just love it. So after Karen A's reading, I invite you to listen to the song "I'm Here to Remind You" by David Alt. And he's no longer in Atlanta, but he was down there one time. But you know, that song, "I'm Here to Remind You," is so that you can kind of sense the power of vulnerability as we set ourselves in today. So now I invite you to the words of Karen's reading and to the song right after that as we prepare for the power of vulnerability. Karen A, do you?
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm keeping to the topic of vulnerability. I've picked out 5 different quotes. I did not read these 5 books. I just picked them from the books. They're not all quotes, they're sort of thoughtful statements, maybe I would say, on this topic. And I hope one of them or more might speak to you at a deep level and give some inspiration on the very courageous topic of vulnerability. Okay, so the first quote is, or the first statement is, "I do not believe that sheer suffering teaches. If suffering alone taught, all the world would be wise, since everyone suffers. To suffering must be added mourning, understanding, patience, love, openness, and the willingness to remain vulnerable." And that is from the book Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. The definition of vulnerability is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. But vulnerability is not weakness. It's our most accurate measure of courage. When the barrier is our belief about vulnerability, the question becomes, are we willing to show up and be seen when we can't control the outcome? Are we willing to create courageous spaces so we can be fully seen? A soft and open front is not being weak. It's being brave. It's being the wilderness. And that is from the book Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown. We are all broken by something. We have all hurt someone and have been hurt. We all share the condition of brokenness. Our shared vulnerability and imperfection nurtures and sustains our capacity for compassion. That strikes me as an important sentence, so I'm going to read that again. Our shared vulnerability and imperfection nurtures and sustains our capacity for compassion. We have a choice. We can embrace our humanness, which means embracing our broken natures and the compassion that remains our best hope for healing. Or we can deny our brokenness, forswear compassion, and as a result, deny our own humanity. And that's from the book Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. If you hold back on the emotions, if you don't allow yourself to go all the way through them, you can never get to being detached. You're too busy being afraid. You're afraid of the pain. You're afraid of the grief. You're afraid of the vulnerability that loving entails. And that's from the book Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. And the last one is to love it all is to be vulnerable. And that's from the book The Four Loves by Sinclair Lewis. And so it is.
That is so beautiful. So as we really take in that reminder of how fabulous we are, relax your eyes by looking into your lap. And at the same time, you can either close them or just relax your mind if you choose. Now breathe in so long and deep. And as you exhale really slow, remember what David Alp sang today to us. I'm here to remind you how much you are truly loved. David Alp happens to be the minister who wrote and signed off on my spiritual practitioner license back in the day. So if I ever knew a person, that's why I thought about him today, who showed me the power of vulnerability, it was him. He was one. In his community, he always let people know that. So I had to give him that shout out. And if he listens to this one day, he probably will, he'll hear that I still love him. So when you think of the power of vulnerability this week, use your power to remind people of how powerful they are. And then wiggle your fingers and your toes right now and integrate into this mind, body, and spirit as we breathe and look around our space with gratitude, as if we're brand new to our own space that we see every day. So what I'm going to do is I'm about to take a gratitude moment here, and I want to give great thanks to our fabulous Dr. Wanda. She's our MC, and she is my prayer partner from, the early 2000s, almost 20 years, maybe 20 years. Well, anyway, our talk topic, the power of vulnerability. It really came to life with Karen A's readings, all the different beautiful quotes that she said, and some of them hit me like a ton of bricks, but I love it. So thank you so much, Reverend Karen. Karen A. All right. And now to the awesome Reverend Karen. Thank you for that heartfelt prayer, because it's really I feel like a door just opened up and let the power in. Yay! Into all of us. So speaking of our prayer, our ecclesiastical team is going to continue holding the high watch over our service today. And meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep having the gratitude in my heart for all those healings that I witnessed just this past week. I have witnessed every single week somebody is telling me something that they healed from. So for those of you who would like to experience any type of healings, join us one time or two, or maybe every time to our consciousness meetings, and you will learn more about them shortly in the day as we unfold this beautiful service. So now let's go. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the power of vulnerability. First, let me just tell you this. Vulnerability is all about the ability to recognize, and we don't just use our brain and mind to recognize, but we're going to recognize our emotions. We're going to recognize our emotions to people and to ourselves. Now, that's a skill. And to master this skill, you need to learn how to be comfortable with your feelings, how to talk about them in a healthy way. Get that? Just saying. Don't be letting people put you in a bind. You want to be healthy, back away. Being vulnerable means you're opening yourself up and you're being aware of your emotions, right? But now here's the deal. When you are spiritually conscious of your vulnerability, I'm telling you something, you open the floodgates to the best things in life. And you're just a well, just letting all it come through you. That is the power of vulnerability. Now, the definition of vulnerability is uncertainty, risk, and the risk of emotional exposure. And that's what I got out of the dictionary. And this is probably true. Because people are, right? You may think it's easier to put up the wall and hide behind your true feelings rather than risk being judged because you think it's seen as being weak. A lot of people see that vulnerability as being weak. But you know, that thought alone, all it does is it leads you to a feeling like you have to suppress your emotions to fit in. That's not going to cut it. The reality is that being vulnerable and expressing our true emotions is an important part of our being human or human being. And it doesn't make us any less strong. In fact, vulnerability is actually not even a weakness. And I'm sure you heard Karen's reading when she said, now, if you hold back your emotions, I hope you heard that one, and you don't allow yourself to express and go through those emotions, you can never get to the point of being detached. And because you know why? She said it. Either you're busy being afraid, you're afraid of the pain, or you're afraid of the grief. But you're afraid of vulnerability because that's all that loving entails. So how can you love in the fear of something so powerful? Vulnerability is a powerful tool, spiritual tool. You already know what happens though when you're attached to an outcome, right? So acknowledge your emotions in everything you do. Everyone has experienced emotions that are problematic, if to say the least, right? I'm laughing because all of us do. And we all react to them differently. But we still got to navigate through the process. So it's important not to suppress those feelings or ignore them emotions, because when they come up, you're definitely going to lose it. Not good. So allowing ourselves to experience our emotions fully is an essential part, like breathing, y'all. You got to breathe. And so what it is it's such a essential part of our process, because that's how we can really learn to achieve that sense of detachment, so we can get that inner peace. Because the more attached we are to something, the more unraveled we are. We're not straight. We're just, I gotta have this. Nope, don't have to have that. Detachment. Remember? Be honest with your feelings. The people are attached to the fact that, well, I'm going to tell it to her this way so she won't dislike me. No, I'm going to tell her this way so she can respect me. I don't really care that she likes me or not. And do you know that that is so authentic and that it comes out to be love? Dang. By being honest with our feelings, we gain a better understanding of what it is that we're truly feeling. We understand us. That's what the deal is. We want to do that. And then we get to find that resilience to move on with this relationship if it's going anywhere. Because it could be he say, whoever, they say, well, we don't like you because you feel that way. I am detached from your emotions toward me. See, it's best to embrace it as a powerful spiritual tool. That way you can bring your own self joy. You can discover more of your creativity. You get to, and sometimes you are left alone from people. But you see, in that time, you get to discover your creativity and your authenticity. Oh, I said that word without messing up. And your love. Oh my God. When your mind is free of what do they care? What are they thinking? Are they looking at me? Do I have a wrinkle in my top? No. I gave myself permission to be vulnerable. Even though I'm saying to myself, I have to tell so-and-so how I feel, but oh well. Right? And I learned it all through research. Let me tell you what I just noticed about the research thing. And it's so important that I tell you this because I said, what this got to do with it? But it has a lot to do with it. As you know, this is what I know. Researchers have a great deal of respect for their participants that come to do the studies with them. And this is what I love. Already, as we know, this is going to be hard to explain, but yes, it is. Clinical research is a field that has a balance between the knowledge and the power of the person interviewing and that person who's being interviewed. Why is that? Because you got to understand, we're talking about vulnerability here. So this particular one, some of these people have inferiority complexes, and others have issues of I'm just shy, and others have this thing where they feel like everything is embarrassing to them. So here they are in front of a researcher interviewing them. So you know what, guys? The researchers have to do their best so that they can get their work done and get the most accurate results. And did you know how they establish that? Is what they do is they ensure, they don't try to figure it out. They ensure that the participants working on these studies with them are treated fairly and respectfully. And that whole process is that same way. That's how they get those accurate results. They don't just ask people on the street just like this hey, give me an idea about what you do when you're vulnerable and how do you react. They got to know all this stuff. So in order to get accurate results, and they have to establish an environment of trust right off the bat. So researchers, they definitely do. All of them, all of the different studies that I read, I love it. They follow these protocols to the letter, especially when they're handling sensitive things like, people they're testing in vulnerability and what happens with that. So just know that's why I trust these statistics so much, and I know they're true. And I know they're accurate. That's the way I go. Science is everything. It's the truth. That's how you get things proven. So when I share different parts of myself to my clients, even here to CSL Charlotte, I could be possibly judged, right? But I know it sounds funny, but it does. But the thing is, I just let the judgers, or should I say the judges, fight for their limitations and live in judgment over me or on me if they choose. That's their job. That's on them. Because you see, my courage comes from the fact that the recognition that they have to deal with it on their own, they got a lot more to work with than I do. If you're sitting there spending all your time judging me, or me spending my time judging you, that's not going to happen. You know, it's a funny thing. Sometimes people kind of get upset when other people don't. I notice when they do it to me, when I don't want your opinion, don't think I'm trying to take your voice away from you. Ugh. That's what I like to say. Ugh. Because you know, I'm not. I just would not rather have that opinion. Thank you very much. And don't get mad about it, but people do get a little perturbed about that. But I have to tell the truth that no, I'm not going to buy that particular brand or whatever. You know, whatever. See, then people come up with ideas of trying to get that guilt to flow through you. Like, so you're saying that my thoughts don't matter, or you saying that to you, I don't have. No, you're saying you don't have a voice. You're saying your thoughts matter. I never said that to you. So I noticed that what people try to do, and I have to buckle up on that one because it's kind of tough sometimes, but I have to be real, you know? So I just have to unattach myself to worried about whether this person, oh, I know, I didn't like her opinion. I mean, I wonder how she feels. I can't do that. And I don't want them to do it to me, because another thing, if I give somebody an opinion, sometimes I do it off the cuff, and I really don't like doing that because I don't give opinions, first of all. But the deal is this. I do it as a living. So if I'm going to talk to someone, they're a client that's paying, that wants it. I am not going to volunteer opinion. And if I do, because that's the part of me sometimes of caring, if they say, no, I don't want to do that, I am so unattached to that. I wish I would tell them, you don't care about what I think. I don't care how they think what I think. Again, right? Because that's what I have worked through my vulnerability. I have taken the risk of telling my truth. That is the power of vulnerability. Okay. So, for example, I'm not willing to, in other words, I call it this, I'm not going to compromise my beliefs for the sake of what somebody else's ego is feeling, because that's all it is. All of us have got to grow that muscle for ourselves, that muscle of vulnerability. Gotta be grown, gotta work it. You see, people are stuck in their own bubble and they're trying to prove things to themselves. But then they try to pull me up in it and criticize me with it, because I understand that's the game. I am in a position where I'm constantly now I'm a lot in front of a lot of groups now here in Charlotte, a lot in person and online, and people that are not in the right no, they're in the right place, but they're not in a place where they're hearing me. Sometimes they get like, well, that's on them, you know? That is on them. And so, you know, I'd rather go ahead and say what I have to say than to retreat. But you know what? What about you? You can do the same thing. Can't you just start going out instead of retreating because of you being fear of judgment? Maybe you're not in fear of judgment. Maybe you're just afraid that they're going to leave you. Maybe you just worry that they're not going to like you anymore. But what I learned about that, like for me, is that my ego, the intellectual girl, because I call all me a she. That sounds weird, but everything about me is she, right? So my ego is the intellectual. She's the intellectual one. My mind, she's the spiritual one. My body, my body sets her compass onto spirits, which is the mind. So she's going to listen to the mind over what you say to her about eating this or walking, doing that, or maybe you should do this for so-and-so. No, you let me do what I want to do with so-and-so. You know, my body adheres to the mind, especially when the mind is in a certain mode. If I am all going for that thing, I cannot allow my fear of being left behind or not liked to take the wheel. You know, can't have it. So I just don't entertain the judges. or judgers, whatever they call themselves. I don't need to say judges. So when I first started summoning my courage to share my insecurities with other people, I'm telling you, I felt like a target of criticism, right? And you know what I learned? I had to get this power of vulnerability under me because I needed that. Because what was going on, if I would have succumbed to the idea of, well, I'm not going to speak out, or I'm not going to do that, then what I would have found out was that I would not have been able to benefit. I would have led myself to more anguish instead of falling into the power of vulnerability. So just know that spiritual practice is everything. And all about spiritual practice, it is really given me the place where all I do right now from that is I get to live it. And I like it. So, that's all the power of vulnerability, being powerful. But, wonders never cease, because sometimes people start talking about their relationship with who they're with, and this person upset them and whatever have you. But the worst person you could talk to is somebody that's not in your relationship, because that third party throw their spin on it. Now you got something else to think about. Shh. Tell it to the person in a nice, vulnerable, and easy way for you to feel good. So that all being said, let's discuss our next song. Is that good, Alan? Okay. So sometimes we want to move with our lives, and generally we like to get to the other side really fast. But now this is what happens. I'm talking about that song now. Sometimes we're focusing too much on what's over there on the other side when we get there. But you know what? We need to stay present right here and accept this moment, because it's all about the climb. So let's get with that song, man. This song touches my heart every time I hear it. It's all about the climb. It's all about it, y'all. It's all about it. She said, it ain't about how fast I get there. It ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's all about the climb. Oh my goodness. I know every time I see a mountain, every time I start a project, I want it to be done yesterday. I want to make it move. Oh my God. 20 years ago when I was on my weight trip, I always wanted to make it move. I'm so grateful I kept with the climb. I kept the climb, y'all. Whatever it is we got to do, but I'm going to go.
Because now is the time for me to invite you to the assistance of this community. And so I'm going to invite you right now, as we all recite this affirmative giving prayer together, that we prosper collectively and individually. And so I simply say thank you. And so it is.
And today I will be doing the opportunities.
A community that prays together, stays together, and you keep us together with your prayers, my sister. Thank you. So this is the time that I like to say, what's your birthday? It's your birthday. We're going to pop, and we ain't going to do the whole song. But anyway, whatever your birthday is, put it in the chat, because I'm always going to say that every week, no matter what, because I know when you keep doing it, people actually hear you. The thing is, you know your birthday, I don't, and it's all good. So just put it in there, and I would love it. I think it's real important that we honor that day that we came here when we first arrived. And with no further ado about that, let's just make sure we throw that birthday in there. So the next thing I want to talk about is really think about considering donations with CSL Charlotte, because CSL Charlotte is right now having this next vision. In other words, we're about to break another egg and go into a bigger expansion that bigger than any of us could even imagine. Last week, we had a fabulous visioning with our leadership team, and it just opened me up like an egg. I saw the yolk, So this is our next vision. Our next vision is going hybrid, and we're going from strictly online to a spiritual community that utilizes both online and virtual, in person. In person, I get the words right, right? And we get to do those things because see, we're constantly always moving up to the next level to deepen our impact in this world. Through CSL Charlotte, we would like to deepen the impact of spirituality because, it's people are starting to change. People are on that cusp. People are looking, but they don't see us. And if they don't see us, they think we're not there. So the vision for us is to operate securely and store our property safely and be able to broadcast online simultaneously across the country. It looks like it's going to be about $100,000 to set up and to actually get that started because we want the best. We want to be able to do all of that. But of course, it can't come from one or two people's pockets. It can't come from the minister or it can't come from the team always. So I'm thanking you in advance for everybody that listens to this. I know you either on YouTube. I know you even get on the Facebook pages. We got these recordings for you to hear them. So as always, you just know that we are growing and we're looking for your support, and you have this. What do you think you're going to be an ancestor one day, whether you like it or not. But what do you think it's going to be like when this world, we may not see it and we just may see it, huh? But what do you think about that? Just more and more people becoming aware. So that's all I will say on that note. But as always, I thank my wonderful, wonderful team and this platform for all of the things you do every single week to get here, to do what you do, and just want to be here. Dr. Wanda, she is our fabulous MC. You rocked it, girl. And then Alan, you and your creative ways. Alan is he's becoming so creative. Oh, he's too much, and I loved it. So you really were very informative with those announcements. And great job on that reading, Karen A. from Sheepshead Bay. And Alan, thanks for the music. You're rocking the music too, my brother. You awesome. That's my right-hand man. So what are you gonna do? And Groovy, you my girl, thank you for keeping us all good in the chat, keeping the sound all nice and smooth going on through. It's not a one-man band. I just know you guys. And thanks for Timmy P. He took over for Melissa today, okay, who doesn't have internet where she is. So that's a fabulous day. So just thanks, everybody. And Reverend Karen, your fabulous prayer was just nice. And Mo, I just love you for constantly doing that because like I always tell everybody, if they did not receive a prayer request from you, they did not put in a prayer. If they didn't receive a prayer from you, they did not put in a prayer request. So you know how that goes. And so with Reverend Millie, she's here. She's the one who's gonna be our coordinator at the end of this also to bring us all to the back. If there's any prayer work you need right after the service, we got a 3-minute prayer. And what happens is you state something, you get that prayer back, you leave feeling 10 tons of weight lifted off of you. It is powerful. And that's one thing. And know that every time you want to come back, it's a given. You can come back as many times as you want. This is not a one and done. Nothing is a one and done. Growing spirituality, prayer is never a one and done. Never cease praying. So thank you in advance for doing the prayer. I was gonna say our break room, babe, but the prayer chat. We gotta get this lingo down here. And thank you, Alan, in advance for that. So anyway, that all being said, we're getting ready to close out now. But on our way to closing out, I want you to just remember the power of vulnerability is always at your disposal. I challenge you to remember to reflect on the power of vulnerability this week. And everybody that's and that in your life that's been in bad places, good places, whatever places, discern whether it's a place for you to be, okay? And back off if you need be. All right. The thing is to feel better by changing your emotions and realize how amazing you are. Song is going to remind you that you're going to do some amazing things. So with the power of vulnerability, use that tool to listen to this last song that you will do amazing things. Right. So yes. So okay, we're going to all do amazing things. Just know that all the places we will go, it's just so fabulous. It just can't be counted on one finger. All you got to do is just remember that we are in the flow. Do amazing things this week, guys. And as you do your music, you make sure that you listen to this prayer as Reverend Karen prays us out.
Oh, talk about vulnerability and authenticity and power. Reverend Rosedale is all of those things. She could not be anything else. She is very, very authentic, very vulnerable, and so are we. And what does it mean? We heard Hannah Montana talk about the climb, and Michael got talk about amazing things. My prayer is knowing the vulnerability and the authenticity of the creator of the universe as it expresses through each and every one of us. That is what our vulnerability and our authenticity is. It's the power of allowing God to shine through us no matter what we do. Amazing things doesn't mean building the Taj Mahal or writing a bestseller. It means doing kindness, being authentic, and allowing God's power to express through us by picking up a piece of litter, by smiling at someone who looks like they need a smile, by giving a hug, by being kind, going out into this world and being who we are. We don't have to pretend to be anybody else. Authenticity is allowing the power of God to express through us. And that is my prayer for each and every one of us today, is to go out into our lives, to open our front door, our back door, our side door, walk out into the beauty of the world and bringing the beauty and the power of ourselves into our world as authentic human beings, as being open and being vulnerable. We have God within us. Vulnerability does not hurt us. It helps us express our beauty and our kindness in who we are and our power as God shines through us. And knowing this and being so grateful for being authentic, for being vulnerable, and for opening myself to allow God to express through me as it does for each and every one of us. That is my prayer for all of us. And knowing this, please join me in this attitude of gratitude as we are authentic and vulnerable and releasing this word to the universal law. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Wow. Thank you so much for that fabulous prayer, Karen. Ooh, that was so touching. So anyway, guys, have a fabulous rest of your week.